Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Season 1 of The Baby. And this is a new horror comedy mystery series from HBO, and this takes place with a 38-year-old Natasha who's furious about her closest friends all having babies and plans, and she goes off and all of a sudden a baby falls right into her arms off of a cliff. And she's like, what the hell is this? And Natasha, played by Michelle Duarte, who does a great job balancing all the places that she's pushed in this series, which is a big deal. And she is offering up a lot of the support, specifically. And Natasha is a character who is struggling, trying to find her place and excommunicated with some of her family and really trying to pull together. But this baby comes into her life, and this baby's like a parasite leeching on the people, causing horrible things to happen. You're starting to realize, like, it was all for you, Damien. And this demon baby is off to do some demon things. And luckily some of the characters don't get permanently dismantled because of specifically those elements. But like this story around this baby has a lot of powers and a lot of things that could happen. And I think as long as we're open and up the forefront to our student staff, they won't be too freaked out when certain things start happening. And like the baby has some jump scares and unnerving moments, very bloody and gory and just that kind of thing, like this horrible mutilation. But you have this story of this baby who influences other people, causes them to do terrible things to themselves and others. And I think that's such a horrifying idea. And like, how do you get rid of these creatures that are creating all of this and really being able to shut down some things like military bases and stuff like that? But like, is that really going to happen? And the challenge is no. But you know, you do have some films about survival and being able to draw upon them, you know, like in Torino and stuff like that. And you have this film where I feel like he definitely wants it moving along, because Clint's a little impatient. But if, you know, this story has a lot of dark humor in it. It's funny, but tonally all over the place, trying to balance everything and have a satisfying ending to each of these stories, including Godzilla's own. And, you know, you have these elements, and hopefully they could draw upon the Power Rangers to help out. But, like, you have here, you just have this story, a strong cast, interesting characters, because you have Miss Evans by Amira, Ghazalla, who is a real wild card in the show. You never knowing exactly what she's doing. And then, of course, you have some flashback sequences, too, that have, like, Tanya Reynolds, Seyan, Sarvan, and, you know, some of them might have some bigger connections than others. But, like, this series finds these different people involved trying to stop certain things from happening in this house. And of course, none of us learn the right lessons, and of course, we get towards the end, it's just like, why couldn't anybody think of that? And now we're all screwed because you're right there and trying to get away. And we'll have to see how things go. I know KFC's been like super keeping, you know, hiding certain things like that would probably happen in this series. And like, yeah, the internet ruined a lot, but I still feel like there's a lot of surprises around each and every corner for the baby specifically, which the flashback scenes are actually interesting and work well with like the setting and the lake and stuff like that. And, you know, we don't have a whole lot of like things on the laundry list to make sure that, hey, we could take care of these things. But like, this is a story about a desperate woman wanting to be a mother and going at all costs to make that happen, no matter what potentially could be awful about it. But there's always that chance. And here's the hope and crossing our fingers and that machine being off, is that we're there, we're with each other, getting through it, and having that inspiration to keep going. And, you know, everybody needs a little bit of that kind of advice sometimes, and that really stood out in this show. I brought that with me into my league during the summer that year, and I became a better baseball player because of it and watching this series and being quite impacted. And it's creepy, it's funny, and it tries to balance those things. People will be most likely possessed in some kind of shape or form, and us seeing how that all works out if anybody wants to stick around and see what's really going on. But it's one of those kinds of things where it's like there's plenty of mystery, there's some twists and turns between characters, and it's one of those kinds of things where it's just like, if this ended right here, think we'd be able to find some, like, maybe we didn't see somebody die, not dead, and having all those kinds of things. But, you know, some of them got out the back, tried to get far, probably didn't get too far, but, you know, they made an effort, they tried to get their freedoms, and in the end, this is still raking up money at $50 million third weekend. Incredible. But in the end, this is a kind of film where, and series where it's just like, there's elements of it, there's elements that really work, there's other elements that don't really work, but in general I think it's a fine addition, and maybe that's what we'll be getting at some point, but hopefully we'll see what our options are. But those are my thoughts on The Baby. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some TV. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.